Hey, how you doing? Nope. I gotta turn off my phone. All right. So welcome everybody to Brain Hackers Live, and I'm here with Mitch Cammidge, and he's known as Savage in Business. Mitch, can you hear me? You got your microphone muted? Oh, he's getting the microphone all worked out. All right, so we're just starting to get people loaded up in here. We've done a bunch of great webinars lately. The last few we've had 70, 80 people at, so I'm hoping we can repeat those numbers this time. We are going to have an Ask You Anything or Ask Me Anything type format, but we also have a format that we're following. So hold tight and we'll get started in a minute. All right, it looks like we have fixed the audio. So, Mitch, can you hear me?
I got you, Dave.
All right.
Got me?
All right.
Good. Yeah.
All right. So today's session, we get into conversations all the time because we've been holding a mastermind together for, going on the better part of a year. And boy, what a year has it been. I want to share with people some of the struggles you've been dealing with. The biggest one has been health and your heart. And Mitch has been through multiple surgeries, things that make you have really long conversations with your loved ones and get your house in order. And thankfully he's gone through it all. And throughout the entire time, he was giving me business advice like a champion, because that's what you do when you're a rock star like Mitch here. Mitch is very well known as a Savage in Business. He works a lot in the construction business, but mostly consulting, and has a number of clients from all around the world. And, they hang on his every word because he knows how to make projects happen. And I've actually consulted with him on a big project I'm working on the Castle project as well. And his insight has been fantastic. So I suggest everybody listen into him. And it's not just about people who know about construction. It's from all walks of life. If you don't know both of us, my name is Dave Farrow. And actually, Mitch, since we're going to be going back and forth, why don't you introduce me? See what you're going to say.
Oh,
there we go.
Mr. Dave Farrow.
You trust somebody when.
you trust somebody when. Well, I got to say either nice things or terrible things. So we'll try the nice things first. Mr. Dave Farrow.
I got a button here that can get you off.
Multi-time Guinness World Record holder for what goes on right between his ears. And if that isn't magnificent enough, runs a PR firm, best-selling author, and all-around wonderful human being that has got just an amazing way of being able to communicate with people. So Dave and I were able to connect just 2 years ago, and very quickly became brothers from other mothers. And of course, Dave is exceptional at his job, and not just because he's got a great memory, but the man truly cares and takes great care of his clients and customers as well, which is why we're sitting here today with a wonderful organization. I mean, Farrow Communications over his shoulder. There's a PR firm. Construction project is great. This man's brain goes a million miles a minute. He's got a ton of wonderful ideas. And of course, the little logo up here on the screen, right on, I can see on my side, the little BH right there, BrainHackers. Yeah. Well, where I could see it, I point at it, and that's where my finger goes to. I got nothing for the rest of you.
Actually, that really is a good conversation starter because, there's a lot of people, like every time we get on a webinar like this, everybody, sings their praises. But one of the things that I did way back was that, I never wanted to be, that motivational speaker guy who is perfect or anything, because I'm not perfect, right?
Correct.
So I want to make it absolutely clear to everybody that I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for memory, but I also was diagnosed ADHD and dyslexic when I was a kid, and I struggled with my memory, and I still struggle with focus. Now I'm a little bit better than I was during COVID, and I talk a lot about how during COVID, all my tricks and brain hacks and techniques kind of fell apart, and I had to kind of rebuild my life. Really, I think both Mitch and I were examples of people who, maybe weren't given the best roll of the dice, but we're trying to make the best we can of it. And maybe we've learned a few things along the way. And that's really what I want to be remembered for. And that's where we want to go from here. So if anybody has any questions as we get into some of the topics, then let's begin. So Mitch, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, and we kind of have a little list of questions. We don't know each other's questions, but we each have a list of questions. I'm going to start off. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is what you consult with a number of different businesses, and you were very helpful consulting with my business, but you've never run an agency like I have. And I was always told, there's only a few people who run agencies. It's a very specific kind of thing. Unless you do it, you don't know it. It's kind of like having kids. You can't give advice to parent unless you already have kids. But your advice was on point. So how do you take general business advice, but you're able to apply it to so many different sectors? That's probably one of my biggest things, especially because I'm going into different sectors that I might not be the top expert at, right?
Yeah. Very quickly, since the title of our BrainHackers Live is Victory Loves Preparation, Deborah, can you hear us right now? Just want to make sure that our audio is coming through for you as well, because just a moment ago you pinged up and said there's no sound coming through. Let's make sure everybody can hear what's going on, because right now Dave and I are just starting a great conversation. I want to make sure the audience is involved. So now, Dave, back to the question you asked, and in light of our Tim, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Tim.
In light of the question, when we talk preparation, so I'm going to back up for a moment to Dave. So Dave may talk about having challenges with the audio. We've got challenges with the audio right now, of course. Challenges with ADD, ADHD, other things that can be going on inside the brain. But for Dave to get to the spot where he can get a Guinness World Record and do that multiple times for something like memory requires the word preparation. It requires the word consideration. It requires the word consistency to come into effect. And so
is that what you do when you're going into a new industry? Is like you rely on your preparation. You rely on so do you do research before you talk to each client? I know I now have to do a bunch of research before I talk to a client, because it's just expected now.
So when you ask the question about agency for a moment, agency is just another word for business, right? Agency typically implies there's more people. So I can have agency, firm, operation, office, storefront, whatever word that is going to fit best for the kind of industry. The reality is it's just a business at the end of the day. It's just a thing. And all businesses is units that contain a product or a service or an offering. They offer something to the marketplace that somebody else is going to want. And there's going to be, one would think, a monetary exchange. And the more people you add into the agency or to the business, the bigger it gets, the more complexity you get because of the people. So whether it's an agency or whether it's a storefront, to your question about preparation and consistency, businesses only have a finite number of things. And so when you've got a grounding or a formation or an understanding, a consistent practice, a consistent model, a consistent way of preparing every time you go in, it's not about whether an agency or a retail store or a pizza joint or an accounting firm or construction company are going to be doing it. It's, in my world, preparation wise, how big and how small, how much revenue, how long has the owner been at it, and where are they trying to take the business to? If you can get some framework like that ahead of time. So that's how I prepare, and that's how I'm consistent in how I deliver service. But frankly, as a lesson to revenue and strategy, and what you've asked, Dave, is what made it easy to be able to walk in the door, or more simplistic, to talk to you about your agency. Businesses are just businesses. And we get hung up very quickly on how unique we believe what we're doing is. And if one thing that we can prepare for going into 2026, and this is going to help you, everybody out there, audience wise,
like, I get it. You're not as special as you think you are. That's another way to say it, right? Everybody thinks they're snowflakes, and
exactly. Well, we're not as special as we think we are. Right. We got people. We got to make money. We got to pay our bills. We got to offer something that somebody else needs or wants, and we've got to be able to transact with that. Dave, I've got a thing to sell you. Dave, I've got a service to sell you. Dave, I've got a package and bundle of things and stuff that maybe you want or need or would enjoy. So let's figure out where you see the value in it compared to what I need to charge to pay the bills.
Well, what I think is the biggest mistake a lot of small businesses make is they are selling what they want to sell. And you have to be humble. Like, getting a few setbacks, like I literally lost my business during COVID. Like, things like that will make you humble, and you have to, you let your clients tell you what you're selling, right?
Yes.
It's like the old American Express used to be a delivery service, right? It was originally, a lot of people know, it's like a Pony Express type situation, and then it started helping people who were traveling with traveler's checks, and then that became credit cards, and then it's American Express, right? Oh, Kevin's getting no audio. I don't know what's going on here. Can everyone hear me now? Can you hear me now? No audio. I can turn off and on my mic here. All right. All right. Anybody else? Actually, it's weird to say anybody else can't hear me, because obviously, if they couldn't hear me, they wouldn't. Can you hear me? I don't know. Well, I mean, I think we just have to go forward. That some people can hear us. So sometimes you just got to go forward with what you know.
Let's march into this.
Yeah. Because. All right.
Scott, love it.
So anybody. Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of people have seen, hover at the bottom of the screen left. There we go. Yeah.
Awesome. Deborah, thank you very much.
That makes sense.
Dave, let's come back. I mean,
all right. So the point I was trying to make is that there's been a lot of times where, like, when I first started selling memory techniques, I was just out of high school, and I was terrible in most of my classes. That's what got me to think, okay, I've got to do something about my brain, or I'm not going to have much opportunity in life. Now, naturally speaking, I still have a terrible memory. I always say I have the best, worst memory in the world, because naturally speaking, if I didn't do anything, it's terrible. And when I got super stressed during COVID and I didn't do a lot of my techniques, I was back to those high school days, right? So you got to stay humble. But when I first started, I was thinking that I was going to teach a bunch of other students how to study better and things like that, and how to overcome ADD and stuff like that. That was not what I was doing at all. It took a few years to realize that the majority of people who were purchasing my programs were women between the ages of 45 and 55 who had one or two young kids, usually boys, and they were in their last year of high school or their first year of college. Right. Ooh. Yeah. Like that. I'm that specific. Right. And if I wasn't listening, then I wouldn't know that. And I wouldn't have sold $8 million worth of the things. Right. Because I would have been selling to the wrong crowd. Yeah. So that is really key is thanks, Deborah. That's really key is never stop so you want to find a customer who's just like thirsting for your product, dying for your product. I always say, and I'm more on the marketing side than you are, Mitch, but if you walk into a sales situation and you have to convince them why your product or service is needed, then you're never going to convince them that you're the right person to deliver that product or service, right?
Yeah.
So you can't convince them with two things. So they have to go into your store hungry for a hamburger, and then you convince them that you got the best hamburger, but you can't convince them that hamburgers are great and you have the best one in the same conversation.
Well, to your point, Dave, and I think this would be great to qualify a little more, and let's use your business as the context or the example.
Sure.
If we think 2026 and revenue, everybody wants to make more money. But what does making more money mean? For most of us, it means if I could sell more of these, I'm going to make more money. Well, if I charge more for these, could I charge more for these? Then I make more for the same number of sales. If I sell less of them at a higher price or a different one. But to your point, should I even be selling these headphones to begin with? Right? Is this what I'm really doing? And that goes back to the preparation question.
Right. So the question is like, do my customers want those headphones, or do they want a better way to hear their computer or their phone? You know what I mean? And is that a Bluetooth earpiece, or is that a text on the screen, or you know what I mean? It's
the audience aging, and it is Bluetooth hearing aids.
Yeah,
and you don't sell headphones anymore. You're moving into audiology instead.
Yeah.
So
so you really go down to like, what problem are you solving rather than what product are you producing? Yeah.
For revenue to develop, we start with an idea. So I'll tell everybody that's out there right now, whether you're brand new in business or whether you've been around for a little while, Dave, you started out like this. I started out like this. Everybody started like this. We either thought we were better than somebody else that was doing something, or somebody likely pissed us off and we decided we could, start our own thing. So that's a great place to start.
The second one. I got pissed off and I was going to prove
to hell with you. I'm going to do this and I'll make money, and I'll make more money than you just to show you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
That's not a good decade-long sustainable business model. It's not a great way to make money for the rest of your life. So you have to stop every so often. And again, I keep looking up at the title. It says Victory Loves Preparation, your 2026 revenue strategy. So at the end of the year here, when you're feeling good and the Christmas tree is up and all the lights are out and you're drinking too much eggnog, or however you may celebrate the season. Maybe you like it quiet. Maybe you're not really a Christmas person. That's okay. You got to pause, take out a notebook, take out a tablet, do something, and just write it down. What did I do this year? What did I make? What do I want to do next year? And how much do I want to make? Those are really simple details. And then ask yourself a really important question. Am I willing to work the same, more, or less than what I just did? Everybody goes, I want to work less. No, they don't. You want a bigger result for what you do, because if we felt that what we were doing was also valuable enough, talk about preparation for a moment. The better I'm doing and the more success comes, the more I want to do it. The more I want to be consistent, the more I want to cycle through more repetitions of it until I get to whatever's a comfortable number. But most people say, I want to make more and work less. What they really mean is they're frustrated with where the business is at right now. So you have to start by being honest with what you've done already. That means having to look at yourself very clearly and then say, what do I want to do next year? And then what am I willing to adjust or change? And that's where the preparation comes in. I need to measure it. Like we talk agency for a moment. I'm talking to a psychologist in his practice, and he goes, tell me the scary things I need to do to grow for next year. And the scariest thing we could come up with is a thing that he was reluctant to do, not because he didn't think it was enough value. He didn't have the guts to step out of his own shadow. Yeah. To take on going after that challenge. And now that he's doing it the first time and burning that first rep and putting some things in place. If I do so much of this, and if I talk to so many people like that, and if I do so many things like this, I get this many opportunities, and this many opportunities may give me this much business. And
okay,
then he goes,
so
well, what do I do?
I want to talk to Jack's point there. Where we get into the topic. So we have been talking in a bit vague terms. I think part of that is just because we had technical issues. So jumping into to tell everybody what they can expect from this webinar. Both Mitch and I think we've explained that we've done business for a long time, helped a lot of other people in business, and we've come up with a list of strategies that have not only worked for us but worked for everyone else. And we're going to kind of go through a little sequentially. He has kind of a matrix that you analyze your business. I want to talk about some marketing strategies to raise revenues, and there's some very clear things. So we're kind of going to go back and forth at a conversational tone, but we do have an agenda. I've got a list of points that I'm going to get to, Jack, and I don't want to fill this up with fluff or anything, even though we are talking a little bit vague. So if you don't mind, I could actually get into something a bit more specific, Mitch. So, all right. So your revenue strategy, there's a certain point, if you've been running a business for a little while, that ultimately it comes down to revenue. In my opinion, you can do very much with profits. You can cut costs, but then costs go up with you should always be trying to cut costs, but costs go up with inflation, and then there's competitiveness. AI is competitive and things like that. So there's always, like, every time we cut costs, we always find more expenses too. But at the end of the day, raising revenue is about finding that core audience and scaling up. So one of the points I wanted to get across is that what really worked for my business and what I have helped a few others do, and I want to get your feedback on this, Mitch, is I had kind of a little bit of a debate with my a top manager in my company, Arden. Brilliant, sharp woman. She knows her stuff and everything. And I wanted to plow ahead with a lot of marketing initiatives. There's a lot of marketers. We could do that a little sloppy sometimes, right? And she wanted to raise the quality. And I'm like, good. I'm all for that. Let's collaborate. But there was a tendency I felt on her part to try to slow things down, like out of fear. Like, well, hang on. Let's make sure we get this, just perfect before we send it out, and kind of a little analysis paralysis. So after sitting down, we realized they were kind of butting heads a little bit. And I came up with this model, and I didn't invent it, but I saw it on some videos, and I wanted to talk about it. And that is the idea of perfecting on a small scale and then scaling up. And that's something that we're really able to do today in 2026 that we haven't been able to do as much in the past. If you were to do a business, 20 years ago, and you have a really great business model, in order to scale, you have to hire new people to copy that business model. Now, because of software, we can automate things that work. So, one of the things that we've done, and I'll share all the details if anybody wants to know some of our details, but, we send out about 150,000 emails a month for ourselves and our clients, and we do a lot of email marketing and direct message marketing at the same time as we're running ads, and we're also talking to referrals and doing these webinars. So with all of those things combined, the goal is to create a system, to jump in knowing that you're going to make a couple of mistakes, but of course try to prepare as much as you can to avoid those mistakes, but to jump in on a small scale. And we do this also with media. When for those of you who may not know, the main thing that Farrow Communications does is it gets PR. It gets unknown authors in like entrepreneur.com and things like that. So one of the things that we do is we will take a particular pitch for a client and we'll test it out on a few of our, we call friendlies, or a few of the people in the media that we know and know us very well. And we'll get their feedback on the pitch itself before we launch it out to the wider audience. Now, this is an analysis paralysis where you're sitting at your computer trying to rewrite the same letter over and over and over and over and over because you're not getting any feedback. My biggest advice is get that feedback as soon as you can. Get something that's even imperfect somewhat out there in front of the customer, so you know what the demand is, if you're really onto something, and then you can perfect it. But do that at a very small scale. This is like the focus group size scale, not big launch. So then we did that, and then we were able to scale up because you can press a button and send out 1,000 more emails, and then 10,000 more emails, and it's got the same message, right? And you can scale up by buying more ads and things like that. And also with the webinars, we get a good system that we want for the webinar, and then we repeat it and find out what works. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Well, what you've just illustrated, and Jack, thank you so much for that comment. Dave, you're talking about putting together a really basic customer profile and price model to begin with. So the longer we spend in business, the more complicated we want to make what we're doing. And really, at the end of the day, we're going to spend forever and a day from day one that we start the business until the very last day that we run it, whether we expire and drop dead or sell it off or decide to wrap it down or retire or do whatever we're going to do. We're going to take our product. We're going to pick the price that we think whatever our market or target audience is going to pay.
Oh, did you lock up?
Uh-oh. There we
There we
go.
go.
Back.
Was that
And
you
then
or
we're
me?
going to beat the living
Right.
heck out of it with that price and try and wash, rinse, and repeat as many as possible. People go, well, okay, we can all
Now,
figure
when
out how to do
choosing
that.
price, though, I have an idea for that. So, again, when you're starting a small scale, I literally do one-on-one things, and we'll have a new product. You know, we did some marketing for podcasts, right? And we didn't typically promote just a podcast, so we gave kind of a deal on it. And so, what I would do with these new offerings is I would offer it during our discovery calls, and I'd be like, "Hey, I don't normally do this, but would you pay, $1,500 for this service or something like that, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And you want to see their response to see if they would balk at the price or if they jump on the price. Maybe if they jumped a little too high, that's price might be a little bit too low. I'll still honor whatever price or offer I gave somebody, but maybe the next time I might think, oh, maybe we're lowballing it a little bit. So testing even on a one-on-one basis, find somebody who will buy your stuff at any price, and then find the price that they pause a little bit and need to be convinced a little bit, and then you just have to build value to that spot. And I think that's your sweet spot.
Well, if again take the title of our live event here for a moment, businesses brand new, that's the only way to get started. Businesses that are established over time have a set price for a set thing or offering, and they should always be testing something new. Because when the market shifts, so COVID was a major market shift. Every time the real estate market bubbles up or tanks is a major shift. Depending on where you live in North America or in the world, whatever happens to the oil and gas industry or industrial manufacturing either causes more or less good things to happen, which changes the amount of money we have in our pocket. So businesses that start out, revenue strategy, pick a product, get in front of as many people as you think you can reasonably do in a certain period of time, to ask them about the product, would they consider buying? And to your point, ask them about the price. I'm thinking the price like this, would you pay that? And if they feel a little uncomfortable with it, maybe you're in the right territory and that needs to come down, and start to work with them, negotiate to find a way so that you can start to generate revenue. Businesses to consistently bring in revenue, but give themselves opportunities to create more. And in 2026, we always have to have, after that first 6 months or first year, we establish that first product or that first base. Now we have to go back to always experiment. We should always be testing something new. There should always be another idea that we go to. Listen, we do this and we also do that. Isn't that getting away from your true offering? If all I sell is headphones, then I lose the opportunity to always sell headphones that also come with a micro, that also come with USB, that come with USB-C.
Right. I think a lot of people who are watching right now, they are, they're more in a service-based business, like an individual.
Here we go. Black it out.
That's all right. I'll jump in when you do.
Yep.
I think a lot of people watching right now, they're more of a service-based business. So
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about that. If anybody wants to, give us an example of your business. I know a few of you guys, so I'm going to talk in vague terms. If you want to say, hey, that's me, then that's fine, but I won't say you by name or anything. But, there's quite a few people in my list that are speakers and authors, and there's some sort of consultant. So they're going into companies saying, I'm going to teach you about, communications and assertiveness, or I'm going to teach you about leadership and stuff. So some of them might look at that going, how on earth could I scale that? Right. And how could I, raise that revenue? So, could you talk a little bit about that? I have a few, points I wanted to cover, but I wanted you to kind of go from that perspective, not a physical product perspective.
Service-based coaching, consulting, etc. Those businesses are tough early on, as most of the time you only see itty bitty ones, 1 or 2 or 3 people, or you see dozens or hundreds of people. It's very rare that you see a number that's in there. So if I go in, I need to ask myself, Gail, thanks so much, considering doing AI video serials for the books.
Yeah, actually, I have something. If we can pause some of the content. Gail, actually, I'm doing a bunch of AI stuff for my book as well. So here's a great revenue strategy, and social media is a revenue strategy right now. We have to be doing it. I resisted social media for the longest time because I was more of a premium product and individual pricing. But I did a bunch of reboots recently, and I'm enjoying the social media, and I'm getting a lot of clients out of it. I mean, you can get a lot of clients even from a channel where you have like 1,000 or 2,000 followers, or 4,000 or 5,000 followers on like Instagram, which is not hard to get. Anyways, I want to talk about, as an author, doing the AI video serials. Are you doing a lot with AI? Oh, you're paused there a bit.
There we go.
All right. So
back with Gail's question and the coaching consulting side. I love it because the comment I made earlier was about, you got a primary product. So Gail, in your case, you're an author to start with, and you want to sell books. But when you want to sell books, to my commentary that said, hey, always have something brand new. So you're looking at AI video serials. So does that mean it's a subscription based? Does that mean you're looking for viewership? So your mill rate? Are you looking for ad revenue? So now we've taken the same product, the idea that you're an author for a moment and you can sell books one-to-one, and now you're going to produce other content, and then what's going to be the potential for you to generate revenue off of that, and then give yourself a number.
All right. So I'll step in here. What I would see for this scale is when it comes to generating revenue from this, there's a couple of different streams. So you can convert your content into online content like TikToks and YouTubes and things like that. And then you can try to monetize through these channels. I mean, I found that that's a fairly slow boat, but usually, you want to dedicate like the first 2 years to just kind of getting your algorithm going and finding your audience, right? And I've worked with a number of people in some channels, so I've seen it work for them. And then after that 2-year blip, they kind of bumped up, and that's what kind of motivated me to jump back in post COVID.
Actually, Dave, if I may, for a moment, I've just had a, call it an epiphanal moment, but Gail's commentary and Jack, of course, challenging, just saying, listen, victory loves preparation. When are we going to talk about the 2026 revenue strategy? Here's something people fail at, and that you could write down right now and prepare yourself in 2026, and it's guaranteed will add more revenue. 100%. So take whatever it is you're doing at the moment, at the price, write down how many you did in the last year. Take that number and add 10%. I want to do just 10% more of that. Add one new offering. So Gail, in your instance, for instance, AI video serials. Do you want to get paid by number of viewers? That's mill rate. Do you want to get paid on ad revenue? Or do you want people to pay to be able to watch what you're doing? So each one of those is a different thing. And so when you do that, you take that, you say, now I've got product number 2, AI run serials that I'm going to put out. And I want to do it by the number of people, by ad revenue, or by people paying to be able to get access. That tells you where to take your product and what to charge. Why I bring that up is it's not whether you charge for AI created content, etc., but it's that most business owners, when you start little, don't get past more than about 2 or 3 or 4.
Oh my God, you're killing me with the pausing. I think that you're on the right track with Patreon and Substack. Did you want to finish your thoughts there, Mitch?
Absolutely. Most business owners have one catalog or one product or one offering or one idea. And over time, they don't go really past more than about 2 or 3. Get to 5 to 7 different ways that you could generate revenue with your business, all surrounding your primary offering.
Right.
If I'm
don't be a one SKU.
I can also train in sales.
Right.
If I'm a business coach, I can also educate on marketing. If I'm a business coach, I can help with financial modeling. If I'm a business coach, I can help people prepare their business to become a franchisor and offer franchises to market. So these are 4 other things that now I can take out to market that stays close to me being a business coach, but offers me different things that I can either offer current and existing customers or potential new customers that has a different price point and a different attraction in the marketplace that can bring them in. And now if somebody wants sales training and then they realize their business really needs to expand to multiple locations, there's sales training and there's franchisor preparation. And while they're preparing their business to become a bunch of franchises and sell them, they want to build the sales model around that. And then they want to change the way they think about the business. So they stay with the coaching. Now they're coaching, building a franchise, and getting sales training. You need to take whatever your big one is and start to add these different offerings, because businesses that get to 5 to 7 of these offerings that all interconnect are the ones that become unassailable in the future.
That's true. I want to jump in here. So Gail, my take on this is that you're offering content. One of the things that I would say has worked really well for our authors is to see your content from a practical perspective. I always say that it's easier to sell a knife or a tool than it is a story or an idea. And so your I haven't read your stuff, Gail, but let's say your content is even fiction, or it could be nonfiction, memoir or something like that, and you want to tell your story. And I'm only saying that because that's kind of the toughest thing to sell in this context. And I want to tell you that if done in the right way, that can also be a very practical draw for people. So I'm reminded of J.K. Rowling when she first came out with Harry Potter. A lot of people think that she's this great author. She is a great author. But the reason why her stuff was so popular is because, mystery fiction. Okay, so I hit the nail on the head that you do have some sort of, you do have fiction. So you're trying to think, how can I repackage it? How can I create this new content? Okay, so here's an idea for you is find the practical solution it solves, even though it is mystery fiction. And what I mean by that is it could be mystery fiction that stimulates the brain. And improves your IQ, or is like kind of in the same category as Sudoku or crosswords or something. It feels like you've consumed a story, but you've gotten smarter. That sort of thing, right? So the reason I'm saying this is what J.K. Rowling did. I remember she was on the Donahue show. I was very young at the time. And she was on the show, and it was just before this one Christmas season. Nobody knew who she was, but she was going up against this Baptist church. As it turns out later on, it was discovered she was pretending to be people to like tease the people at this Baptist church to make them really mad at her, thinking that she's teaching sorcery to kids, right? She wanted to drum up the controversy. But once she got on the air, all she said was, "I'm getting 11-year-olds to read books this thick." That's all she said. And the answer to every question is 11-year-olds are reading books this thick. It was like, you're teaching them satanic worship. Yeah, but 11-year-olds are reading books this thick. Again and again. It was the best-selling gift that holiday season, that Christmas season. It was because of that. It was parents bought it for their kids, hoping their kids would be better readers. So the minute you think that, every author out there who is doing fiction, you can't learn anything from nonfiction. You can't learn anything from treating it like a product. Think again, right? I mean, like you take something like like a Stephen King, people want to feel scared. Take something like a Dan Patterson, people want to feel smart, right? They want to feel sophisticated and like they work on Wall Street and everything, right? So, and mystery and romance. I want to read some of this stuff. Yeah. So if you have content, repurposing it as different content is fantastic. Using the AI tools today is a really good idea. And I'm going to say, do it quickly, because AI is propped up by investor dollars. So it is a whole lot more expensive to make AI videos than they are charging you today. Okay, does anybody remember Uber back in the day when they just and I'll get to your other comment in a second. If you remember Uber back when they were trying to beat cab companies, right? You could take like a $6-7 my son is in my head with that. You could take like $6 and you could travel across the town, right? For a long trip, right? Now it's like $22 to make the same trip. The reason is there's no more cabs. They destroyed their competition, right? So that is the same general business model for a lot of these things. They're burning the billions and trillions of dollars, actually over $1 trillion of investor dollars to make all these AIs, hoping to create a product that's valuable enough. And then the price is going to go up once people start to rely on it. My company's already relying on it, right? People are making decisions about what staff they're going to have based on it, right? So you can't get rid of it. So what if that monthly fee goes from $10 to $200? Maybe I still have to pay it, right? But right now it's mostly propped up by investor dollars. So take all of your content and make AI stuff. So what I'm doing actually with my book, grab my book here. Yeah. Great marketer. I don't even have it in hand.
I looked around. You realized yours isn't in my office. It's up.
There you go. So what I'm doing with my book is I'm taking every brain hack in BrainHacker, and I created an AI bot in Chat GPT. Put in a prompt, how do I create an AI bot? That's how I learned how to create an AI bot. I'm not a genius at this, people. It's like it teaches you. Anyways, so I took some of my favorite YouTubers and I said, make me a 10-minute video script based on this, based on an excerpt from my book. And I take each individual brain hack. It turns out I have like something like, I thought I had like 50. I have something like 78 different brain hacks in this book. So that's 78 potential YouTube videos done in this wonderful style. I've got a teleprompter and I can just read in the content. That's step number one. Step number two would be to go to Sora and maybe make some sort of animated video about it. And it's all sort of, sorts of fun stuff, great content. But if you've already written the content, you can break that up and turn it into smaller chunks. But again, what's the purpose? Why am I watching that content? Why am I going to it? Is it to be entertained? That is a purpose, right? But if it's to be entertained, what kind of entertainment am I looking for? Am I looking to be scared? Am I looking to be thoughtful? Most of the time people who read mystery fiction, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, they want to feel smart. They want to feel like they've learned something at the end of the day. So you might want to pitch it in the same way that people sell, like the same way people feel about Rick and Morty, the cartoon, right? Is like, oh, smart people watch, like, you get this, right? So watch this stuff, this content is for, a sophisticated viewer. Appeal to that intellectual person that wants to think, right? And maybe for the romance stuff, maybe it's the person who doesn't want to think but wants to get excited. I don't know. So you want to find out what problem is it solving, and it might be like a brain teaser thing that works really well. And your sales pitch, if you will, can be something like, just read one of these stories every day and get smarter every day. It can be a tagline as simple as that, right? Remember, J.K. Rowling became hugely famous by just 11-year-olds read a book this thick. That's it, right? Think of Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15%, right? It's always one line. Whittle it down to one line, and then the line is always, what's in it for you, not for me. Well, what is in it for you? And it's usually something surprising.
Well, Dave, you've mentioned a number of byproducts of the idea that you wrote a book to start with, and then aggregating content, because Gail and Kelly started to ask questions. Hey, I do this. Ergo, what else can I do with it? And you brought up Uber earlier. So Uber started out going, how do I just get somebody in the car, and how do we defeat cab companies? But then Uber quickly evolved from doing that to ride sharing. And then they found a way to split the money. And then they thought about ad revenue. And then they started to...
You're all into iteration. You're all into like get your core and then iterate it and everything. Yeah. Well, Kelly Riley actually agrees with you, giving multiple points of entry into their fiction world. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Having
100%. So let's take the idea for a moment, story adjacent ideas. Being an author that does more than one thing. So there is a well-noted sci-fi author. I'll let you look this up. And there was a well-noted BBC interview in the early 80s where they were discussing this with the sci-fi author, and we're talking the golden age. So Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, etc. And this one author, I want you to go find them. I'm not going to spoil it all for you. In the midst of their interview, they said that the thing they do most frequently to make their most consistent money is write romance novels. And the way they write a romance novel, they decided that they needed to make money on any given weekend. And in his studio, in his writing den, his nook, in front of his desk with his typewriter, because he started writing in the 60s and wrote right through the 80s and 90s and even into the 2000s, he had this giant wall with index cards. And the index card had a protagonist, an antagonist, a love interest, 3 to 5 conditions that would happen inside a romance story, some sort of pathos or difficulty that would happen to the love story, whether it would be a love triangle or a love quadrant or whatever the hell it's going to be, and then what the ultimate conclusion and what location it would be in.
Are you talking about
I would sit down on a weekend and decide I needed to write a romance novel, and it would take me about 8 hours, and I would just follow along, column to column to column, and pick one at random and write the condition. And I knew how big each one of these chapters had to be. And I knew that if I got to 10 to 15 chapters, I'd have a finished book. And I'd crack out a book in a weekend, send it off. And a week later, I'd get a check for $3,000 under my pseudonym, call it a day. He goes, now I'd have money to pay the bills and go on vacation. And then otherwise I would write.
Are you thinking of Andre Norton or There's a bunch of sci-fi authors that also wrote romance. You're blowing my mind here. I love sci-fi. There's a bunch of them. Wow.
So for
you're
Kelly and Riley,
you're
and for
saying
your Dave, I'm going to stay on this for a moment. Our opportunity is, to your word, aggregate, right? To build this ancillary. Most businesses fail to build ancillary product lines. The other thing we fail to do is we build ancillary product lines is the faster my business grows and the more revenue I make, I need somebody to become that line's champion. Well, if I'm an author, isn't it just me? Oh, sure as hell there isn't. Authors that become wickedly successful over time have executive assistants, personal assistants, they have ghostwriters, they have editors, they have other people that become involved or champion that line of their work over time. A professional author over time, as you start to make more money, go to do speaking gigs, etc., talk on news broadcasts, go on podcasts, other things like that, you're going to find that you're going to require more and more assistance. This assistance is going to help you in an area that may or may not be directly tied to revenue, but it's going to make life easier, simpler, better, faster. It's going to make you more efficient in those areas that you do. When you go into the new year, if you are just smaller, medium-sized business, take your current product and clone 3 or 5 varieties of it. Create something that sits right next to it, attach a price to it, go to your existing or former customers, go to a brand new customer type and say, we do this over here and we're good at it. Ergo, we think we'd be good at this. Would you do that? And to your comment from earlier, Dave, what price would you get to? Every time you do that, get somebody that's going to be a champion in front of it. Back to your comment about, go for it.
Yeah, I would also say, to reiterate, to do different iterations there, for authors, you have to have an audiobook version. Apparently my audiobook version for BrainHackers is doing much better than the physical book. And I sold the rights to it and did okay in the selling, but now I want those royalties. So to make an audiobook of something today is not that hard. You can actually be just an individual going right through Audible and work with them, and you can get a good computer and a good microphone, and you can set up everything yourself. And that is a great opportunity as well. And I want to encourage everybody who's an author to check out Pro Audio Voices, proaudiovoices.com. They are an alternative to Audible as well, that gives authors more of really more control over their work, and they can make more money and everything. And Becky, who runs the place, is an old-time friend and client of ours. So if anybody wants to find out more about that, they can contact us at farrowcommunications.com, and you can ask any questions. We'll put you in touch. So more to your point, if you're an author, you wrote a book, great. Make an audio version, make small snippets. I often tell my clients that, your message is what you're trying to get out. And what you're really trying to sell is you as an author. Most of the people who are writing books, what they don't realize is that the majority of revenue made from books is never made from the books themselves. Yeah. It's always made from some sort of licensing, some sort of other monetization. So with nonfiction, that's pretty simple, right? I have a book, I also have an online course, and maybe I do speaking and seminars and things like that. And you think for fiction, well, I just have my book, right? But there's a lot of fiction authors who hold reading concerts. Usually it's children's authors, but there's children's authors who have audiences full of people making $50,000-$100,000 for every session, and they travel around. There are fiction authors that are working to get their works into a screenplay, to get them picked up by a major streaming service. And also, like I said, if you can make your book solve a problem, if you can make it so that young readers are very interested in it, or older readers feel stimulated and excited, or it gives you a certain sort of feeling, then you can sell that feeling. And then that feeling translates to all the merch that you see for different books, everything from calendars and coasters and t-shirts and stuff like that, right? But it's really it's what problem are you solving? So I think actually the mystery stuff, both mystery fiction and mystery romance, I would say go with the read my book and you'll get smarter. Like, are you smart enough to solve it type thing? That turns your book from just a story that entertains into something that actually solves a problem. And I can tell you, as somebody who's sold memory techniques for a long time, there's a huge audience of people who want to be entertained while feeling smarter. So I'm hoping, I know I'm speaking very specifically to a few people who have commented. Please, other people comment and I can talk about your content specifically. But that's the sort of mindset I want you to have, like what Mitch is saying, to iterate to new different directions, and also to to find out what is the functional use, what is the use case, what problem are you solving. Oh, nice. The final question, comment is, it works well since they have a scientist main character and she's a scientist in real life. So that could be a really good one, especially for prospective scientists. So if I was pitching you on the radio or on podcasts, and yes, radio is still a thing, at least satellite radio, I would say is decent. But podcasts and, to do interviews on your book, I would say something along the lines of how, people who read this book, if their kid wants to get into science, this is a great book to get started with. Or anybody everybody knows somebody who is a real science buff, so it becomes the ultimate gift. Oh yeah, that was the other point. Going forward in 2026, we're getting a little close to Christmas, so it's a little hard to do this pitch right now. But anybody who is an author, if you can find a way to make your book a gift, it will tremendous make a huge difference with sales. And the reason is, no matter who you are, you will get some people who read your book and absolutely love it. Making your book something that is a gift to other people, and just kind of pitching it that way, means that one person who loves your book is more likely to buy 3 or 4 or more copies. I've had people buy 10 copies of my book for the very same reason, right? So you want to encourage people to find a way to gift it. So this is why you hear taglines like, if you like this, give it to somebody else in need, or, find somebody who needs to hear this message, because that's how we grow our channel. Like, have you ever heard things like that? That's the sort of messaging you want to respond to some of the people who are your fan base. You might not think of it as a gift item, but it is definitely a gift item, because again, if you're giving a functional use, like, hey, read my book and you'll get smarter, right? Then you're giving the gift of intelligence to your friend, right? Here's my intellectual, science-loving friend. Let me give them that book. Or if it's a political book, obviously that's another thing, because you want to win whatever political argument you're making, or things like that. We've done the gift thing 1,000 times, and it's really helped sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Gifts are funny things, because if we just cater our talk to the audience that's writing books for a moment, hey, I've got a book. Well, I'm not an author. What can I give away? You're telling me if you have a product or offering commodity, you sell headphones, you can't sell adapters or give adapters away with a set of headphones at Christmas as a free gift. Thanks for making a purchase with me as well. Or if that I'm a business coach, I can't do things that are merely for the benefit of other people without having a monetary price tag attached to it as well. There are always a million opportunities where something that's small that could be viewed as innocuous by you. And Dave, we started off our call and really talking where you brought up, after I started talking about ideal customer, that we're not selling to ourselves, we're selling to our customer. They have a different want and a need and a perception than what we do. And Kel, you brought it up. You were a scientist and you have a scientist main character. You speak to an audience that's very familiar to you. I think that if you went down the path of plugging out a ton of books adjacent, catering primarily to what your day job is, would be a hell of a market to niche down into as well, right? How many people are writing only for the scientific community in the form of romance novels, sci-fi, fantasy, mystery, murder? There's nobody that's just specifically talking to that audience, and then build your entire portfolio catering around just that audience. The worst thing you could do is pick that as your audience and then spend all of your time finding different ways to creatively give back to that community and also earning a living while you're doing it as well. We forget that why we do this to begin with is we either got pissed off or fell in love with something and decided we wanted to make some money at it. So fight like hell to make as much money as you can. Pick one product or offering, add a bunch of ancillary, secondary, or inflated offerings around that product. Get a really deep understanding of your current audience. And when you have built as many things as you can around that audience, add a second audience and start to replicate that process with them.
Yeah. And I would also add on that, there's some things that are products that you might not think are products. So Patreon was mentioned earlier, and you might not think that is a product, but that is a product offering. What you are selling is the feeling of supporting the arts, or at least supporting an artist that I believe in and I trust. And I know, and when they get big, I can say, hey, I knew them when type thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot like there was this one guy who was a reporter for the New York Times, and he dressed up like a homeless person for a few months as part of the story, and he realized he was making more money begging than he was as a reporter for the New York Times. It shows you how much they're paying reporters these days. But the thing is that what he did is he knew a little bit about marketing and stuff. So he would write on his sign, things like, I'm trying to get out of debt, or screw it, I just want a beer. How would you give me $1 for a beer? And funny stuff. But at the end of the day, he said that people who gave him the most money or consistently were people who wanted to feel good about helping somebody else because they were doing all right. Right. So whether you want to call that privilege, guilt, or whatever, that's a product. That there are people who want.
Well, to your point, Dave, too, where you think I don't realize what the offering is. Back to Patreon, yeah, Patreon and panhandling. Maybe Patreon is a little bit of panhandling in a digital age, but panhandling. To your point about interesting signs, dog's been stolen by ninjas, need money for karate lessons. Write that on there, and there's a reciprocal exchange for that 50 cents or $1 or $2. I made you laugh. I'm in some dire straits. You're willing to give me $1 because of it, and I made you laugh. There's a reciprocity that happens in the relationship. We don't know what the product or offering is. So the moment you think you have something that maybe I can make some money at, fight like hell to find as many of your audience as possible, identify price, but find as many ways to create a reciprocity, a give back. If all I do is write something amusing on a sign for $1 on a street corner, maybe that's not your primary business, but the reciprocity is there. The dollars earned for making you laugh.
All right. So since we're going down to the end of the hour here, for the people who have stuck around, thank you very much. You never know with these webinars. We've had last one was like 78, 80, and now, we're peaking up at, under 20, but I get a lot in the replay. But you've been a consistent group of folks. So here's really what I have down in my notes is the ultimate strategy for revenue in 2026, especially for the author, infopreneur, but others as well. The two things that category needs the most is credibility and traffic. So one of the first things that people come to us for is credibility, because if you're a speaker or an author, even if you're in fiction, you're only taken as seriously as the third party that vouches for you, and that's because the internet is crazy and full of liars. So if you're an author, a business author or something, and I get you into Business Insider or Entrepreneur or something, then that's like that third party validating your expertise. So then when you want to go speak, it doubles the speaking fees. And this is not just my opinion. The Harvard Review did a study, and they found out that same website, one has logos from different media outlets and the other doesn't. The one with the logos had 48% more conversion rate. So almost half a better conversion rate than the one that didn't. So you have to have the credibility in order to convert. Converting is really important because it costs you to get each lead. So if you're getting a bunch of traffic, but you're not getting a really good return on your investment, then it might be your conversion rate that is the issue, and everybody can do with higher credibility. So if anybody is interested in that, you can go to farrowcommunications.com and book a discovery call with me, and I'll go over your specific situation for PR and what approach we would take with the media, and that's all free at no charge. The other thing that we do, and even if you don't do it through us, here's the most important part, is you need to have some scale when it comes to getting leads. So this is what I was talking about find out what works and then scale it. So it's not a matter of quality or quantity. It's a matter of quality, then copy and paste till you get quantity. So that's why I say scale quality. Don't sacrifice one for the other. And one of the ways that we'll do that is we'll find a message that really resonates, and then you just the same person that it resonated with, because the internet exists and AI exists and stuff, we can find 100,000 other people that are exactly like that archetype, whether it's a Facebook ad. If we find some people who buy, I can make a copy or a clone audience of like 1 million people when I have like less than 100 people who are buyers. We can upload a database in there. Whether it's email marketing, if I find out what profession, what seniority, what location is buying a product, then we can just expand that, and we can get 100,000, 200,000 people. We can get a hold of them. So whatever is working, find out what works, and then scale. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make.
Yes.
Tremosi has a great story about this. When he first started his gym membership, he got some advice from a friend about how to get more members. And he said, well, send out flyers, right? And the guy was like, okay. He printed up like 300 flyers and put them in like car doors and stuff like that close by his gym. And he was waiting for the phone to ring, and the phone didn't ring. He got nothing. I think he said he got one call. The person thought it was the wrong number or something like that. Something crazy like that. Then he went back to his business mentor and he said, hey, what gives? All right. I did what you said and you're wrong. You screwed up. And the guy goes, well, how many flyers did you send out? And he goes, 300, right? Thinking that was a big number. And he said, we do 5,000 a day, dude. Like, do you have any idea how many messages the average person receives? You have to really scale that message. So you might have this great product, you might have this great book, but you just have to get many more eyeballs to look at it. So for authors, that might be speaking stages, social media. It might be email marketing like we do. It might be publicity and podcasts. But you just, whatever it is, find out what works, and that requires a little bit of detective work, and then scale it up to a size that's far bigger than you're comfortable with, and that's how you make enough revenue to have a great year.
I'm going to have some final thoughts to that, Mr. Dave. To piggyback on top of that, take your current product or service, review your price on a regular basis, add some layers to the onion around it, more things that can attach onto it that you also think you can add a price to as well. And to your commentary about effort, 4 times more effort looking for more than the amount of effort it is to hold on to what you got. A lot of businesses fail. 3 to 4 times more effort, energy, output to attract more to you than what it takes to hold on. That is not about perfection. You have to continue to hone your product and offering. You have to continue to get better at what it is that you provide to your customers so that they stay loyal and they come back and they bring other customers with them, because we know that referrals, reviews, and testimonials are still the easiest buy in the world. And the only way to get that is to give people really good value, true value. What I paid for in money, I got many times over back for what I paid for. But you have to spend an enormous amount of time, energy, and effort to bring in more than what is going to be required. And you want to feel like you're drowning in opportunities, not drowning in work. If you feel like you're drowning in opportunities, then you're getting to the right area and your revenue can grow.
Well, I can't improve much on that. So I appreciate you, Mitch, and I appreciate everybody who is watching. And this will be also available on a recording, and it'll also be available on BrainHackers.com. Anybody who hasn't already, join BrainHackers.com to get great merch like this, and also to get your free profile and to post your own articles so you can become a contributor on there and join the community. Thank you very much, Mitch Cammidge from Savage in Business, for joining me today, and thank you everyone for watching. Till next time, don't forget me. I won't forget you.